fun, fun until someone takes a T-bird away. That's a song. T-bird. Oh, that's that's why I'm thinking about that. I just said fun, fun, fun at the end of the, oh, hello, what are you, big? Oh, well, gone. But it didn't look like a goose. It had the head of and the beak of a cormorant. Maybe there's a cormorant. I'm by the water today. So I might be looking for birds as we do this. Yes, at the end of the last video that I just finished up, wrapping up the vlog as part of the wildlife go out and see hummingbirds that I've done today. At the end of it, I said fun, 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 and that put that song back into my head of she'll have fun, fun, fun until daddy takes the T-bird away. And then I realized T-bird is very close to Thunderbird, which is the emails client that I set up during the week. I have a bunch of different emails for various things. And I use them for various things. I have email addresses for this. I have email addresses for my other stuff. I have personal email addresses. I've set up an email address for any business-related things so that, like, if I'm spending money, companies get that one. So that one could be more secure, I guess, or more just kind of separated out as opposed to just being part of all of my email. And then an email straight up for spam if I have to ever... I haven't had to do it in a real long time. I remember a story of my friend. We were walking out of, where did we go? We went to a store. I don't remember what it was. I don't know if it was a Walmart or like a Costco or something like that. But there was somebody who happened to be in the parking lot who was like, hey, we're giving away tote bags if you sign up for our email, whatever. And I was like, yeah, no. And my friend who was with me was like, yeah, no, I'll do that. Sure. Free tote bag? Sounds great. And I'm like, really? Oh, all right, go ahead. And he does the thing and then hands me the clipboard. And by that point, I was like, all right, well, if he's doing it, I guess I will too. And he hands it over after that. Because I was like, yeah, I'll get a free tote bag. He hands me the clipboard after, and I see what he's put on there. And I go, that is all fake information. I understand. Your name is not, I don't remember what he put because I don't think it was like he made it super obvious, Mike Hawk or, one of those joke names that you would... something like that. It was not obvious like that, but it definitely was not his name or email address that he was putting on there. And I just kind of like tried to maintain my posture, didn't try to smile too much, and also filled out the same kind of thing. And I've done that. I remembered that, and then I did it on one other occasion. It's only been twice where someone's been like, I get a free keychain for signing up for I don't want their spam. They don't really, at the very least, I'll do it with a fake email address that I still have, or like an old one. That's typically what I've done in a situation like that before. Or if I ever have to give out an email address and say it out loud, I don't want, like, my oldest, oh man, I remember that when I was a kid, my email address, I'm not going to fully say what it is, but my email address was something along the names of like the name of a video game character, and then also I had the word Jedi in there, and then I was doing karate and had got my black belt, so it's like Jedi black belt, blah, blah, blah. And like, I remember something like that. And it was like, somebody was calling me out on it at one point. It was like an adult who was saying, oh, all these kids and their email addresses, what's your email address? Said it, and I was like, it's this. And said, I was like, exactly, it's always something goofy, it's not just your name or whatever. And I realized at that point, I was like, I should have more than one email address, and I should have one that I'm okay saying out loud to other people without being ridiculed. And also I should have an email address that I can say out loud or give to people without me ever having to worry about what they're going to do with it, because I don't care, because it's straight up just for spam and I'm not going to check it. So anyway, there was a lot of that stuff. We are currently going through a process of updating all of our internet security. It's been in the works it's been needed for a while. And so now just once a week, my significant other sit down and take some time and go through and start updating passwords and updating emails and spreading everything out and making sure you have access to all of your emails. Make sure nothing important is going to old emails that you don't use anymore or don't have access to. And then updating all of your passwords to password generated ones for the ones that you don't need to like log into. Internet security is a big, big thing. And the more breaches there are, the worse. Like, you should not have... you shouldn't have to worry about it that much, but you do. So, at the very least, doing something like this, I've got a system for coming up with what passwords, what I deem as something necessary enough that I will always need to be able to get into that account so that I can put a password that I will remember, but then minimizing how many like written passwords that I have to memorize. Because the more you have of something like that, the more likely to like, that's the biggest thing you hear about a lot of these data breaches of things like that, is that it's gotten to the point where you make people change them so often, but it has to be something that they remember, and it gets to be too much, and then they write them down, and now that's a risk. Somebody gets a hold of your little password booklet, now they've got access to everything. So I wrote them down in code that I know how to do, but hopefully other people would not, should anyone get my little password booklet. And then only setting that up for really important stuff, like my credit cards. I need to be able to log into my credit cards at pretty much any given point. And then everything else that's kind of a secondary tier, gets generated passwords that I use through a password manager. And then my password manager has to have a different password from the password that I use to log into the account, so that you have to have 3 different passwords in order to get into where I store my generated passwords, all my passwords, through a service that I pay for. And then everything else has to be different as far as the stuff like on my own network. I make that a different password to make sure that no one could access through. It's a lot. It's a whole lot. And I'm hoping we'll be able to do this and then leave it for a while and stay on top of. I like the service that I use somewhat. I'm not going to go into it because they're not paying me. But the one that I use at the very least is very interesting because it can show me breached email addresses and passwords. So right off the bat, that was a good place to start, looking at those going, oh yeah, that's right. My Yahoo email address was leaked with like 1 billion other people. Change all of that. That was a long time ago, but that was one of the ones I could remember. There have been a few others that have breached, and they just have all of that information, so it's a good place to go through and go, all right, changing all of this information. What was the one not that long ago? Was it Slack? There was one that affected me for work. Maybe it was Zoom. I don't remember the company, but one of them had, oh no, wait, was it LastPass? It was LastPass. It was the password manager we use at work. LastPass, we had to go in and change our passwords because they had a breach. God, it's annoying. Anyway, that has been, hello, what are you kind of doing? What do we have here? You are a swallow. Cool. So that's been something that's been going on. Let's see. I'm trying to make more progress reading. Finally, really picking up on the first Lord of the Rings. I need to make more time for that and read not just when I'm falling asleep, because I don't remember a whole lot after I fall asleep. What else I've been doing? I've been trying to get things in order, trying to take care of. I had an extra paycheck, so that was what I bought my last camera stuff with. We have a 5th paycheck in June, technically, so I'm spending money that I will then pay off on these credit cards before they come due with interest. And then that turned into, well, what else do I need? And then it was like, let's get this stuff, let's get that stuff. So I've spent more than I probably should have on a few things. But like, I needed, just without a doubt, a new cover for the mattress, the foam topper. The memory foam mattress topper has a cover that zips it in and holds it in, so you're not just on the foam. And for the longest time, mine has been a problem, and I wash it and it shrinks, and the problem gets worse because the foam expands and the cover shrinks, and then you squish it on in there, and then it's so much pressure and everything that it just folds up onto itself. So you get in and then you're almost surrounded by that, which is not great when you have a cat who sleeps on your bed as well and also likes to walk around doing stuff, and your girlfriend complains about your bed being a taco because you essentially get into the taco and then the shell wraps around you, and it's not exactly ideal. And I finally discovered and went, you know what? I think that this cover is the wrong size. I know it has I know it shrinks, but it's always been tight, and it just seems to be getting worse. And then I measure it, and I measure the foam. The foam is almost queen size, and the cover is like full, which is a size down. And there's a noticeable, it's like a 5-inch difference, I think, if I remember correctly from when I looked it up. Now, the mattress foam itself, fully expanded, is like an inch short of what would technically be a queen, but it's pretty close. So I got a queen size cover, and I'm like, that works so much better. I'd like putting it in, I'm no longer in the taco, and I actually have the room to spread out, and I'm not like, all right, I'm going to lay down, I put my head on the pillow, and then where the mattress pad is in front of me, and I go, I'll put my tablet here so I can read, and the thing is all the way up because it's been pulled in on the... Anyway, that was a thing I purchased, so then I need to get queen sheets for that, because I only had full sheets that I was making it even tighter around that. Now it definitely doesn't fit, so order some queen sheets. I've gotten real used to using sleeping headphones, like a sweatband kind of mask, Bluetooth, and then playing quiet music while I fall asleep. And that's been really useful. I've been doing that for almost a year, because I think I did that when we moved here. I'd gotten used to just playing sounds out loud, but I'd rather have them at a quieter level just in my ear, so I'm not disturbing or anything, causing any nuisance. So I got that, and that's been fantastic. That became a hazard. I bought a cheap one to see if I would like it. I had been falling asleep with just earbuds in, and then I wake up and go, where's my wireless earbud? Oh, it's somewhere. Oh, where is it? And I have to dig around, and I knew it was just a matter of time, and it happened many a time where I'd wake up and it was under me and I was crushing it, but because of the memory foam, it did not break, but it was only a matter of time. So that thing is better. It finally became, I said it's a hazard. It wouldn't hold the charge anymore. It got to the point where it was like 30 minutes and done. And it's like, I take longer than 30 minutes to fall asleep. And also I like to wake up and still hear, like, it helps keep me asleep. So I bought another one of those because the battery had ballooned up. I took it apart. I took it apart. It technically is true. I took the headphones, I took all the mechanics out of the actual band and then washed that. And as I was looking at it and trying to put it back together, I was like, oh, this doesn't actually fit because the battery has ballooned up. So I had to recycle that and, carefully get rid of it, because that's a fire hazard. Those lithium ion batteries are a fire hazard when they do that and they balloon up. Not good, and certainly not something I want on my face while I'm sleeping. So I got a new one of those for like $20 as opposed to 12 this time. And this one's much nicer and plusher, and it's bigger, and the battery's better, and it's softer, and it's also an eye mask, which I do and don't care for. I never really like having my eyes covered while I'm sleeping, because I'm not sleeping during the day and I don't have trouble falling asleep, and I don't have lights on or anything. So it's not exactly necessary, but it's nice to have as an option. Anyway, there's been a fair amount of money spending that I shouldn't really be doing because we have a move coming up. But I have been doing that. And I've also been trying to, I don't remember if I've talked about this fully, but once I got the setup for the video stuff for my camera, that required me to go, okay, now I need that little field monitor back, a little 7-inch field monitor that I take with me, and I've been using it the last few months in my room to record the Capitalism Ho videos in order to have a reference monitor while you're recording, so I can see and make sure things are in focus and, make sure they're in the frame. Especially because the framing doesn't work with those old cameras. They don't output 16:9 format, which means that everything has to get cropped. So I have to put markers on there on where I crop, and then make sure that the item I'm showing is within the crop. Anyway, if I take that away from there, I'm having to move it back and forth. The likelihood that I forget it, just like I did my memory card earlier, or my hard drive earlier this week, is a lot greater. And I'd rather have something set up and permanent, which led me back to an online thrift store where, although I don't care for it, I don't really like it. It is the only option I have to try to get some cheap monitors or TVs at a decent price. Cheap, 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 because they don't need to work for great. So I did. I ordered a monitor and I ordered a TV, an old TV. My requirements are simply, does it work? Does it power on? And does it do 1080? Because I need that to not have a different resolution. The monitor, while I'm working, if I put it with my computer stuff, which I wound up ordering 2 because I bid on 2, and then won both of them. Anyway, my plan became, I got a 39-inch TV, old just crappy, doesn't matter. Again, it's not going to be used for anything important. It's going to be used as a reference monitor when I'm recording. And then I was like, oh, wait, once we move, I have the idea I can take the TV cart that we have, which is a wheeled cart that you mount a TV onto. Currently, my significant other is using it because we don't have enough room for all of the various TVs and entertainment centers. So really, what will happen when we move, hers will go back onto an entertainment center or a desk of some kind, some platform, and now we've got a rolling cart. Well, I could use that. I could use that as a rolling cart so that I can set up and put my camera and everything and have that as there, and I can use the little shelf to put my laptop, kind of like a teleprompter, so that I can read the notes that I've taken when I'm recording. I've got that whole thing set up, and then when I'm done recording, I just turn it around, and now I have my exercise bike in front of a TV, and I can be playing I've been playing mostly handhelds on the Switch, but I could very easily switch that up and put the Switch on the TV and be able to play the games while I ride the exercise bike 4 to 5 days a week. So I got really excited about that. And then the TV came in. And FedEx delivered it to the wrong unit. And I had to go on a hunt for it. And then I found it. And then I brought it in. And then the next morning, because it was late, I opened it up. And I got excited. And I plugged it in. And the TV was smashed. That was unfortunate. It happens. That is why when they ship TVs, I worked in a shipping department for 4 or 5 years, shipping very fragile items. We did a lot of work with stuff like that, and I learned a lot about how you ship things in order to protect valuables and fragile, essentially glass. It was acrylic. And TVs, if you ever have opened up a TV from a new box, always ship in a box with foam around it. Foam inserts that are molded to the TV. And there's a reason for that. It's essentially suspended in the middle without much wiggle room, but then the foam absorbs the impacts. That's what happens during shipping. Boxes get thrown. It doesn't matter how many fragile stickers you put on there. The people who are shipping this stuff, who have to get it, are on quotas and time restraints. Their job is to get it done as quickly as possible. Their job is not to get it there as safely as possible. That's why there's insurance and claims. Is it a great system? No, but it is how it works. This thrift store shipped out a TV in a box that just had massive amounts of bubble wrap. Bubble wrap all around the TV, bubble wrap in both directions, tons of bubble wrap. You got a couple inches of it and you think, well, that's good. But when you've got it that tight and all you have is a compact thing and there's no wiggle room, there's no room for anything, there's nothing to absorb the impact. So when it gets dropped, when it gets thrown, when it's shipped throughout the entire process, every bump on it is transferred all the way in and to the item, the TV. I don't like packing peanuts, but they actually do a decent job at, the best thing is the foam, because the foam can absorb. The expanding foam is even better. I ordered a lot of comics. We could never get the boss at the job to get expanding foam because it's like, it's more expensive than peanuts. And it's like, yeah, but it does a much better job, man. There's something further out there that I am looking at coming around. Oh, it's a white heron, maybe? It's awfully white. I don't think it's blue. Man, that is... Oh, yeah, look at that with the wings and the black on it. That is beautiful. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. So, yes, I ordered a lot of comics as well. Comics being fragile, comics need to be protected. And the comic company that I ordered them from always shipped them in a box slightly bigger than the comics with that stuff, and then the expanding foam put in there. And it's like, this is an ingenious thing. It protected it, never got one damaged, never had any issue with it. Brilliant. Brilliant piece of technology, and it was something we looked into quite heavily. But anyway, that is kind of how you really want to take care of something like that, because it will protect it while... Whoa, there's 3 of them. They're flying together. Oh, man, this is cool. Those are pelicans. What am I talking about? I've seen so many pelicans over the last few years, and I'm not smart. Yeah, they got giant beaks, and yeah, okay. Those are pelicans. Really cool. Anyway, white herons do exist. I have seen one once, but it was a very long time ago. Those are pelicans, and there's a fair amount of them, which is really cool. You wouldn't expect that in the Rocky Mountains. I didn't expect that in the plains of Wyoming, or the alongside the river, but I did see them. Anyway, so the TV was smashed, which was a big disappointment. I was really bummed. Completely unusable. The entire screen was damaged. I think I took a picture. If I remember, I'll put it in. Well, no, I don't really edit these. I will probably, my plan, I'm going to tell you here with this stuff, but my plan is after the move, and I hopefully get a better setup for my recording for the Capitalism Ho videos, is to do kind of a behind the scenes. And if I remember, I'll put the picture there of a smashed TV. It's a smashed TV. You ever seen a smashed TV? It's a smashed TV. The screen was popped out at the bottom, and all the crystals, and it's an LCD TV. And so it's all cracked and broken. I've replaced LCD screens before, once. So I kind of know about that. I know how it works with that. But anyway, replacing an LCD screen, a 39 inches, like $150. I spent in total with shipping like $40 on this TV. It was $10 and then shipping to me was $30. So like not going to be worth it to repair, which is unfortunate. But I was able to get my money back, so it didn't cost me anything. So it's unfortunate. They should be able to file a claim with the shipping company because it was damaged, even though, to me, in my experience, that's their fault. Just because you put a lot of bubble wrap doesn't mean you're actually packing it properly for transport. We will see with the next TV that I order, because I'd like to get another one. But now I got a TV. This was yesterday. I got a TV, and I'm like, what do I do with this TV? I'm going to have to recycle it because it specifically has got warnings. You can't just throw them away. They don't need to go into a landfill. And the lamps inside there have mercury, specifically is what so you can't just throw them away. You need to properly recycle that, which is a hassle. And because I live in a remote area, there's not a recycling place around. So that's an even extra big step, and I don't like that. But what else can I do with it? And then I start taking it apart, figuring I can scrap it. Take some stuff, at the very least, I'll get some screws out of it, right? And then I think about it, and I get it down to a certain point. I'm taking it apart, I'm just disassembling the whole TV, and I think, well, wait a minute. And I Google it, and I see that what other people have done there is no way to repair it once the screen has been destroyed like that. You have to replace the screen. But you know what's on the inside of an LCD screen? Those tubes that provide a backlight. Aha. I took apart the TV all the way down to its base components. I have just the top layer of the screen. There's a few layers to it. The top layer is the LCD that's broken. You take that off. You've got some clear plastic. You've got a sheet of frosted, and then you've got some clear plastic. And this is basically the exact same material that I have had to buy for my photography for work. It's a light table. It's just, it's plastic, and there's lights underneath it. And I go, this is brilliant. I can use this for multiple things. And I start thinking of all the different ways. What I found on the video, what somebody else had done with old broken LCD screens, is they make them, specifically, they took a TV, they took it all the way apart, then they put LEDs inside of it instead of using the components that were in there, and then they've just got a diffused frosted glass kind of thing. They then mounted it in the ceiling in like a staircase where you've got a slanted bit, and they made it look like a fake skylight with light coming in. And I was like, well, that's a really neat idea. I'm not going to do all that. This still works. It still turns on. I'm going to remove the heavy speakers out of it. I'm going to gut the thing and what I can, and then I'm going to replace this stuff. Really, all I need now is just like a sheet of acrylic or a piece of plastic to put over it because it's kind of wobbly and bendy. But my plan is to just put it, I could very easily just take it like that, mount it. It's a TV. It's got mounting points on it. I could mount it and just have a light for videos. Boom. Perfect. Or my other thought, what I've been trying to do, and this is where it turns back around, yes, it could be used for that, but I've got video lights, so I'm not exactly hurting there. It would work pretty well as a backlight because you just have a pure white light coming from behind you, but it's not controllable. It's just on. So, but what I've been wanting to do with the Capitalism Ho videos, I'm just shooting on top of a dresser. And I had just the wood at one point, but that doesn't look great because it's all scratched up. It's an old dresser. It's not even mine. So I put down a piece of black cloth, but I've got a cat that sheds white fur constantly. So before I have to record, I got to clean the whole thing and, lint roller it. And then as I'm recording, the cat comes in the room and just explodes white fur everywhere, and I got to clean it during that. It's not ideal. And it doesn't work super well with the recording setup that I have. The recording setup being a GoPro, which is automatic, and there's no way to change it to a manual control, so I can set its exposure and white balance and just say, leave it like this. So it fluctuates as I'm recording. And as I've got white gloves and an item that's almost never black on a black surface, there's a lot of as it is adjusting with things like that. I'd like to switch that out at some point for a camera that I can control manually, but it's really tough to get cheap cameras that have an HDMI output that can be manually controlled like a DSLR, that are cheap, again, because this is a cheap process, that output in 16:9 format. I already talked about everything's cropped on the other cameras that I use. But anyway, what I thought about doing instead was a more constant background, and I thought it would be cool to have like a glass tabletop with a piece of diffused fabric or something underneath it, and then put lights under it to shine up, so you have a bit of backlighting to the item, and I can change the color. Now, maybe I can't change the color with this TV setup, but I can definitely, that'll be what it'll be. That this is going to be, I'm developing and figuring out. If I can get a glass tabletop, that'll be even better, because then I can put the light down below it and it's not directly on top. I don't need a sheet of acrylic at that point, because I'm not putting things on top of the TV that's missing a panel off the top. So that is my plan. If I can afford it, if I can swing it once we move, I'm going to try to get like a glass tabletop or like an acrylic, some kind of desk with a transparent see-through, and then I will put my TV underneath it. If I need to put, photo fabric over it, something to diffuse the light further, I can. I might not need to do that. I might be able to put gels over it so I can have different colors. I can't have them color changing necessarily, but I don't really need that as it is. But I was really excited that I was able to save this thing that essentially I got for free because I got my money back on it. I'm just going to use that money to buy the TV that I was trying to buy anyway. I'm just going to try to buy a different TV and hope that this one gets to me in a condition that is usable. And then I will have my reference monitor as a TV, and I'll be able to spin that around and use it for playing games while I'm on the exercise bike. And then I've got this thing that's basically just a light box, and I can use it I could use it for the photography if I need to. I already have a transparent, it's a photo table, and I want to get a different one. I've had an idea of something different I could do, but they're expensive. But basically, it's just a fold-out little table with a nice backdrop that is just a piece of plastic. Just a kind of frosted piece of plastic. It's not fully transparent, but it's see-through enough that light can get through it, but it gives you a nice solid white background. And I put a couple lights on different areas, and I put a light underneath, and then that light, they're all flashes for the flash photography. I could very easily do something like that with what I have being the table, or being the TV, because it is its own light source. It's just not controllable, which doesn't really work for the photography side of it. That's why a lot of the lights that you get and things like that have settings, color temperatures, power rating, or power settings, so you can dim or brighten. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But I was really excited that I did not wind up putting something into a landfill. I was able to save it. I was able to use it still. And now I know if I ever see broken LCD TVs, I don't know about LED because they work differently. I don't actually know if LEDs have a backlight to them, if they've got LED backlights, and if you remove the broken screen. I'll have to look up how an LED TV works. I don't know that specifically, but at the very least, if I ever see broken LCD TVs that are, on the side of the road for free or something like that, boom, that's a light source. Pick that up. That's a nice diffused light source that I've got a free light, right? And it's almost never a bad idea to have more lighting. I mean, it is when you try to do too much with that, but I could spread it around different things. I mean, I've got lights set up for my work computer. I've got a single little light that I could use much better options for that for when I'm in a meeting and I have to be on camera. When I'm recording from my editing computer, I bought little video lights. I use currently 4 lights for my recording setup, and I plan to upgrade that to 7. And I want my ideal situation for those videos is to have the light table or the light coming from underneath, and then the full video lights that I use for the setup. I've got a backlight. and then maybe smaller lights on the item itself, maybe, we'll see, but then a separate area entirely with kind of a light box that I set up so I can get that final shot of the item spinning or whatever and have the lights there. Currently, I just put the thing in there and then I hold lights and I just kind of move them around to make it seem like they're moving. But anyway, that was a fun thing that happened this week. It's Memorial Day weekend, and this was the only opportunity this Saturday morning in order to get out to do this, because I typically don't go out on holidays. That's when a lot of people, if it's a holiday, a day off, people just go outside and go to parks and things like that. They come out of the woodwork. You've got your normal, I hate putting people into categories because everybody's different, but traditionally, there are the people who go out on a regular basis already, regardless. There are people who go out regardless of the weather, and then you get a holiday, and everybody's like, oh, let's go to the park. It's a holiday. We can do whatever we want. So they're typically more crowded. So I don't plan to go out on a holiday as it is. Monday is a holiday. I already was planning not to do that, and then I was like, well, significant other doesn't have school because it's a holiday. That means that we can, and I don't work on Monday as it is, so we can spend time together then as well. So, we have some things to take care of this weekend. We finally have. She has acquired. She got a job offer. We've been trying for a while now. She's been applying to places. We knew we'd be moving. She's been applying to a lot of places. And I'll get more into that later, talking about the reasons and what's going on. But we knew we would be moving. It was just a question of where. She's got a job offer. It might not be the most ideal. We have to do the research to see whether or not we can afford to live there. That's what we have to take care of this weekend, because we have a lot of stuff. Now we got to see what is available to us and where, what we can afford, and make sure we can afford to live in that area, because this place we really cannot afford to live in where we have been living. It is far too expensive for the money that we make, unfortunately. Even with both of our combined incomes, it's just way more of our income spent on just rent, and then everything else being expensive. I've talked about that at length as of what everything is going on, but she does have one place, which means we've got a backup, a secure thing. We just have to find out whether or not it's a viable option for what we're going to do and what else could be. And it does relieve some stress, because there was a lot of like, what do we do? Where do we go? Can't do it on just one income. Gotta have two, and if you don't have a job. But I knew she would get something. I never doubted that. It was just a question of, is it ideal for what she wants to be doing? And in my opinion, it is not. I don't think it's just my opinion. It just straight up is not. But it is a job. And if push comes to shove, she will take that job. She will do a great job at that job. It's just not the job that she wants. It's not teaching what she wants to be teaching. Anyway. That is our plan for the weekend. That's basically what's been going on. We are almost into June. We are here at the end of May. The lease is up in the middle of July, and I have already started going into what has to be packed up, what has to be done before moving, where are we moving? We got to figure all that out, and what do I still want to get done? Like, I'm into push comes to shove, what are the last things that I want to do while I'm still here in this area? And now that I've seen hummingbirds in a nest, that's one of the things that I want to keep coming back and seeing. Sometime probably next month, maybe towards the end of June, I'll do a driving around talking about where I've lived, what we've been doing, why we were here, the area, show it off, driving in the car, and set up the GoPro and the camera and everything, because I did that, if anyone's been following and listening, I did that back in, oh boy, was that December or January? When it was full snow. And the environment changes a lot between the snow and the summer. So it's very pretty right now. It's all green, and I'd like to try to get that done while it is green. And I also didn't want to do it too soon, because it reveals far more personal information about where we live. And I don't want my information doxed and people to know where I live while I live there. But once I move, I'm not coming back. So I'll share more about the area and that kind of stuff. I kind of keep that more closely guarded, but I do have that to do. It is something that I really want to do. It's something I wanted to do before I left Wyoming as well, and I just ran out of time. So I'm trying to make time for that, because there is a move upcoming, which puts a lot of stress on. This should be an easier move, because at least we don't have a lot of stuff. We had to downsize considerably going from Georgia to Wyoming. We had to downsize even more, way more, going from Wyoming to here. Uh-oh, Camera is too hot. Powering off. Well, let's finish up on the handheld. Well, let's put it into the mount. It is in the sun, so we will need to make this quicker than... And we're back. Welcome back. It didn't go anywhere. I had the audio going, so that's not how this works. Anyway, to finish up, what was I saying? I would have recorded, we downsized incredibly moving from one to the other. We had to get rid of all of our furniture because the place we live now is already furnished. So we had to donate all of our furniture. We had to donate all of our, a lot of stuff, downsized incredibly, in order to fit into the tiny space that we are currently in. And what I'm really hoping is we find a bigger space to move into. It's not great out there. It's all rentals. I mean, that's all we're going to be able to do anyway. We don't have the money to buy a house. It's just not happening anytime soon, unfortunately. And rentals are expensive, and the bigger the place, the more expensive it is, and we can't really afford that. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that, but I'm trying not to get too busy or too overwhelmed. It shouldn't be too bad because most everything stayed packed up, and I'd really like to get into a place where we can unpack, and I can not feel like it's a waste of time to unpack because we're just going to pack it right back up and move. I went through more than enough of that throughout all of my life with the various moves that I've been through, which have been a lot. So, we got that to do this weekend, and we got some cooking to do. I'm going to bake some bread. I haven't done that in a bit, and I'm out of bread. I want to make some pimento sandwiches. I don't know who decided to call pimento cheese the caviar of the South. It's hilarious. It sounds disgusting, but pimento cheese is delicious. So I got some of that, and I'm going to make some sandwiches on freshly baked bread. Anyway, that'll do it. This was the personal side of things with that stuff. I did not look up a question because I figured I had enough to talk about with what has been going on, my adventures in TV light repair, or salvaging. I'm getting ready to play. I've been starting up. I was playing a game. All right, real quick, because this camera will overheat even faster than the other one did. I've been playing for the last month and a half and change the game Kingdoms of Amalur, which was a remake or a remaster, kind of. It was basically just kind of ported. They did not really remaster it. The graphics still look what they did, but upscaled. From 2013, 2012, something like that, 10 years ago. I played it for maybe an hour back originally on the Xbox 360, and I've been waiting to get it because I knew it was a good game, and I got it, and I played it, and I put 30 hours into it. I played for about 30 hours. I really like the story, but the combat is a mess. I've talked about it before, but for me personally, with the games that I play, I've been running into a thing over the last few years where it's if there's 4 difficulty levels, 4 is insane and makes me not want to play the game. 2 is way too easy, and 3 is still too hard for where it's this is not fun. And there's nothing in between 2 and 3. So I did that, and I started out the game, and I put it on essentially 2, and was like, no, I'm not having fun with this because it's too easy. And then I put on 3, and I was like, well, this is too difficult. I have a Goldilocks of difficulty. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I've played games like that. I've had an issue with it, but it's also just the way the combat is not the best. Everything like that. Eventually I hit the point where I was like, I'm not really having fun. As nice as this story is, as much as I am enjoying that part of it, the rest of the game is kind of a slog to get through, and I think I'm done with it for now. I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. They may be done forever, but I just wanted to move on to something else. I found myself not wanting to play it as much. So I went back to Classic because there is an update coming. I may have mentioned that it's coming up. It comes out on my birthday, I think, or is it the 20th? It's either June 20th or 21st. But the new Elder Scrolls Online chapter releases. And Elder Scrolls Online has been the game of games for me. That is the game that I've by far put the most time into. I've enjoyed the most. I can always just pick it up and play it. There's so much to do. It's an MMO. It never ends. So that's it for me. And I haven't played it in a good bit since the last update. I do it for a couple months. I go real hard into it, and then I drop it for something else, and then I come back to it. So it's that time again. There's enough new stuff, and I've been working on it because I can also, like, I really enjoy the quest lines. I really like the story of what's going on there, so I play that stuff. But then I also have, if I'm just doing something more monotonous, like running around collecting all the stuff, I can put on something on the TV and be listening or watching while I'm halfway playing. It's got both aspects to it, which is how I typically play games, between both ways. So I really like that. I'm back into that. They did a small DLC with a storyline that I want to finish over the next few weeks before the new one comes out, because it's kind of a tie-in leading into the story for what's going to happen. So I'm going to get that done, and then I'll be playing the crap out of it as soon as the new story releases, the new chapter. I'm really excited for that. That's what I've been playing. That's what I've been doing. That's everything. And there's a bird. These are backwards. Are you a robin? You're a big robin if you're a robin. Yep. No. Maybe. You sure do look like one, but your breast color is awfully muted. You're usually a lot brighter than that. But I think that is an American robin. Anyway, having a good time. Got a lot of stuff coming up. Trying to take it one step at a time to not get overwhelmed with the stress. And also having little escapes like, I don't need to think about this stuff. I'm going to take care of a TV right now, and then we'll come back to that stuff and make time for it later. Taking those steps and doing that stuff is very nice. And I got some more monitors coming in. And I hope to bid on a TV this weekend, and if it stays cheap enough that I can afford it, I will try to get another TV and hope that it will work, because I need something for when I'm recording that stuff. I do have to have something back there, and the hassle of moving things back and forth is worth the low cost. It's not worth a high cost. It's not worth me buying a $200 TV to put back there. I'm not buying one brand new or even used or refurbished for like $100. That's not worth it for the fact that I could take one of my existing things, unplug everything, move it, record, then move it back. But if it's like $30, $40, $50, that to me is a worthwhile cost for the hundreds of hours that I'll get use out of it. Hopefully. I've already done far more than that on those monitors. I first started buying monitors when I moved into Wyoming, and I was like, well, I could use 2 monitors for work is great. But what about 3 monitors? What about 4 monitors? What about a vertical monitor? I'm going to max out every port on the 2 GPUs that are in that computer. I just bought another monitor for that purpose, specifically to get me up to 7, because I really like having 2 on the top that are slightly angled, and then the 2 right in the middle, and then 2 down below that are angled. That's been coming in useful. And then a vertical on the side. I'd love another vertical on the other side, but I don't have 8 ports on those GPUs. I only have a total of 7. I could try a USB adapter if I'm only going to put text on it for chats. So I've got my work Slack on one and then the Discord on the other. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, I also have been stealing the monitor from my server, which is really only useful when I boot it up. But if I ever have to, I'm going to move the server. I do not need all those computers in one area. And when I move, I plan on separating them out so that, like, my gaming one is over by the TV in the gaming area, and my editing one is maybe different from where my work one is. The server doesn't really need to be connected to any of that. It just needs an internet connection. But if I move it and I don't have a monitor, I got to go unplug and move a monitor to put it there in case I have to do any work on it. So it's better if I just have a monitor for that. And because they're cheap, if they die, oh well. But so far, all the monitors I've been getting have been working and lasting this whole time. And I've had them for a couple years now. And I don't know how old they are or how much time somebody used them before they donated them. But well worth it for me to spend $40 on a monitor. I'm not looking to get anything perfect out of it. I'm just working. I just need to be able to see web pages. Or when I do software, I just need to be able to see software developing apps. Anyway, all that to say, I don't know. I don't have a summary for this. This has been what's going on. This is what is going to be happening. And we got a busy 2 months ahead of me because I think we'll be moving in July. We kind of have an option. It is getting hot in here. If we have to stay 1 more month, we have the option within the contract to just go, wait, give us another month. Wow. Yeah. The sun directly on this. That's been looking terrible this whole time. What if I just... There we go. Sorry about that. That's been 10 minutes of awful. And now I can't hold it exactly steady in order to... Okay. Hopefully we wind up moving in July and not August. It'd be even cooler if we could move sooner than that, but I kind of doubt it. It's a bit last minute at this point. We don't want to rush into anything. We will see what happens. But until next time, now I stop.